Hi guys, it's Giada, and we're here in my home kitchen in Los Angeles, and I'm really excited about my dish today. I'm making turkey Parmesan Panini, and the idea here is that you can make them instead of roasting a whole bird on Thanksgiving and make it really easy, or you can make them using leftovers. And I'm gonna make them a little extra delicious with a few layers of flavor. So here we go. We're gonna start with 2 cups of cherry tomatoes that I'm having, because what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna throw them in the oven and roast them for about 15 minutes at 450 degrees. So you wanna make sure that you already started preheating your oven at 450. And if you're gonna use a panini maker for these, you wanna start preheating your panini maker. I'm actually gonna use a skillet, which I find a lot of times can be a little bit easier. And we're gonna have all of our cherry tomatoes. And what we're gonna do by roasting the tomatoes, we're adding more flavor. They basically, they just sort of slowly pop and blister, and they become extra sweet. And they also become nice and soft, which works really well within the panino. So it sort of melts into the bread and the turkey and the cheese. There we go. And when I slice cherry tomatoes, or really any tomato, I like to use a serrated knife. It makes it a lot easier to cut through the skin. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so I've got all of my cherry tomatoes. And over here I have a baking sheet. I'm just using a half sheet pan just because I don't need that much room. And I'm just gonna put all of my tomatoes on the sheet pan. And we're gonna season them very simply. A little olive oil, a little bit of salt, and in the oven. And this is a really great way, especially in the winter when the tomatoes aren't in season, but you find them to add lots of flavor to the tomatoes. We're gonna do olive oil right over the top. And then a little bit of salt. I'm actually gonna use my hands instead. There we go. And then we toss them just like this. That way all of the tomatoes are covered in a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt, so they all taste divine. Spread them out so they're evenly distributed on the actual sheet pan. And then we're gonna toss them in the oven. So we're gonna pop these in the oven, 450 degrees for 15 minutes until they sort of blister and pop slightly. So I'll see you in 15 minutes. So my tomatoes have baked and cooled, and you want to let them cool before you handle them. And you see how all the juices kind of come out, which I love, and they pop ever so slightly, and some of them blister, they get nice color, so it intensifies the sweetness, right? All right, so we're ready to assemble our panino, and a panino is just a pressed sandwich. So in Italy, we eat a lot of panini, and they're nice and warm, and I think they're perfect for Thanksgiving or for leftovers. So what I'm gonna do is, this recipe makes 4 sandwiches. We're gonna make 2 at a time. So here we go. Take 4 slices of bread, and I'm using sort of a very soft white bread. A lot of times we call this a PULLMAN bread because it's sort of a French, very light white bread, but any white bread sliced will work. And then we're gonna start by adding some pesto, and you can use store-bought pesto. So on 2 of these slices, we're gonna do pesto. So every sandwich gets pesto, a little bit of jarred tomato sauce, marinara, a couple slices of provolone, and a couple slices of turkey. And then we're also gonna add the blistered tomatoes. So basically we're just gonna, we're just going to add tons and tons of flavors. And just spread out the pesto all the way through, just like that. And on the other 2 slices of bread, you put a little bit of marinara sauce. And you're welcome to make your own sauce, of course. But a lot of times during this time of year, people have gotten a little burnt out and you need a little help on some of the details. And so this is one of them. Using your favorite jarred tomato sauce. The only thing I would recommend is that the first ingredient is tomatoes and not sugar. So as long as you're doing that, you're good to go. Okay. Done. Perfect. So now we're gonna do some cheese. So we're gonna put a slice, and a lot of times I will fold the cheese a little bit so it kind of fits better. So you have the choice of using whatever cheese you like. I love provolone. I like that spiciness with the turkey. I think it's a great combo. But you could easily use mozzarella as well. But I'm using provolone today. Just adds more flavor. Then we're going to add the turkey. So you could use deli turkey or of course leftover turkey. Either one will work. We're going to add a slice of turkey to each piece of bread. So each sandwich gets 2 slices of cheese and 2 slices of turkey. Then we take the tomatoes and we just kind of spread it. And we're only going to add the tomatoes to one slice, so one side. There we go. Perfect. I just like to spread them out just like that. You could also use sun-dried tomatoes if you don't have the cherry tomatoes or you don't feel like taking this step. Sun-dried tomatoes will work really well too. And then we top it with Parmesan cheese because we can't call it a turkey Parmesan panino without a little Parmesan. So we're just gonna freshly grate it right on top. There we go. Look at that. Shower it with Parmigiano. And I always think you can't have enough. So there you go. I'm gonna add a little bit more than usually what it calls for. Okay, so now that we have it all together, we are going to just take one slice and press. Make sure that you kind of get everything stuck together, just like that. And let's move to our skillet. So what you want to do is, I like to make the panino in a non-stick skillet. So if you don't have a panino maker, then a non-stick skillet works perfectly. And I like to do 2 sandwiches at a time. So put the remaining olive oil in the pan because you want to add a little bit of oil so you get a nice golden glow on the outside of the bread for the panino. And you want to melt everything together. And what we're going to do is we're going to end up taking a lid of a smaller pan and we're going to push down on the panino to kind of press that sandwich to get the same effect you would get in a panino maker. So here we go. First sandwich. There we go. And second sandwich. So in Italy, we have panino freddo and panino caldo, which is hot or cold or hot. And but here in the States, we either call them sandwiches, or if it's a panino, we automatically know it's a pressed hot sandwich. It's just a fun little sort of, panino for us in Italy means sandwich in general, which is a little different than it is here. So what you want to do is put the sandwiches in the pan, and you can start to see that there's a little bit of sizzle going on with the heat of the oil, which you want, because you want the bread to absorb it. There we go. And then we take the lid, and there we go. We just push down on the panino to press it, to get everything together. And they're gonna cook about 3 minutes on each side. So we're gonna hang out and just wait, and they're gonna cook. So I'll see you here in 3 minutes. All right, time to flip the panino. You see how golden brown it is on the top? There we go. And then we can press it one more time just to make sure it's nice and pressed, and let it cook on the other side for another 3 minutes. All right, my panino is ready. Here we go. Here's the second one. Look how pretty those look. Nice and warm. Then I like to take a serrated knife to cut it because this is a nice crust, and that way the serrated knife doesn't just cut through it, it sort of literally keeps it together and looks pretty. So let's try. See that crust? Did you hear that? Oh yeah! In Italy, everywhere in Italy, you can just walk in and they heat up and make you a fresh panino right in front of you, and it is divine. Look at that. See that? Look how good that looks. Yeah! Should we take a bite? Let's take a bite. Comfort food for me is all about this gooiness. And I think that the thing that brings it, like, throws it over the edge are the roasted tomatoes, because they're super sweet. Look at that cheese. That's why I like the provolone. I hope that you will make this panino and enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks for joining me, guys. Till next time.